Oh my
long time
God,
ago,
is that
we
right?
were talking about DVC member cruises.
Yes.
It was.
Oh,
I was going to
very,
say,
very
Cindy's
early.
definitely been on this show before, Sam.
I think that's the only one, but I have been on it once.
Yes. Well, not all of us can be
It's too
Tracy
long
and
now.
hit platinum on the DCL Duo podcast guest list. So, Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo Podcast, our live show for the week on this Monday evening. And what a show it's going to be. But before we dive into the show, we need to thank our show sponsors, My Path Unwinding Travel, and also the good folks over at the WDW Magazine, DCL Magazine. Head over to dcl-magazine.com right now, and you can get the float test issue delivered right to your mailbox. I know for a fact they're hoping to have another issue out, and so that's going to be fantastic if it happens. And so we want to make it happen by giving them as much support as we can. So head over to dcl-magazine.com today to sign up to get your float test issue. If you use code DCL Duo, that's DCL Duo, all caps, in their store, then you can get 10% off anything over there. Calendars, magazine subscriptions, digital subscriptions, the whole shebang. So head over there and help support them because we appreciate them. But Sam, we have a fun show tonight, although got a few special people we should also thank before we dive into the show. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let's thank our Patreons. It's about time we thank them, right?
Well, about time. Yes, it is about time.
I feel like we got to thank them periodically because for those who don't know, Patreons financially support this show. And, Brian and I have said this multiple times, but we are not making money off of the DCL Duo podcast. We are, if we end up in the black, we donate to charity. So anything over our costs, our carrying costs to operate the show, we donate to charity. But the good folks who are our Patreons, along with, of course, our show sponsors, help financially support this show. So if you want to support this show financially, you can head over to dclduo.com/Patreon. Patreon.com/DCL Duo. That's what it is.
Patreon.
That's right.
Just head to dclduo.com. You can find all the ways to support the show. But for now, I just want to send a quick shout out to all of our Patreons. This list is growing, so bear with me. Starting off at our animators palette tier, I want to thank our friends Steve Elsis, Robert Taylor, Robbie and Jillian Avney, Lori Hotung, Joshua McHenry, Heather Wilson, the good folks over at the Dillos Diz, Mr. Derek Sassman, Dave Hall, Constance Presley, Chris Brown, see here, we got Brittany Simon, who's actually upped her contribution slightly per month. So thank you for that, Brittany.
Oh, thank you, Brittany.
Bridget Casey, Ashley Norton, Anna, Tracy and Michael Andraco start us off at our Palo Brunch tier, the most delicious tier. Kimberly Melchin, Jeff Linwood, Erica, Emily Faye Abbott, Edward Lynn, Dennis Keithley, Chris Wynn, Beth Gentry, and then heading into our Palo dinner tier for all of those who like a little osobuco, we've got Yensid Travel, aka Chris Vorbeck, Sonia Allen, Megan Guys, Lauren Porter, Karen Tomprose, Karen Shelton, our fabulous show sponsor, Jennifer Swart, Josh Wilson out there, the DCL Duo villain, or the DCL villain, I suppose it is. Cindy Leichner, our guest this evening.
Who's about to join us tonight.
Chris Braga, Brett, Ann Witten, and then, more Palo dinner tier here, Andrea Cobb. Then we get into our Remy Brunch tier for those with a discerning palate, Thomas Rogers, Sean Burns, Eric Nyman, Karen Phillips, and then the coveted Remy dinner tier.
You get a special Colette drink.
A table for three here, a table for three with CT Sweek, Amy Yee, and the good folks over at Adventures in Mousecapades, Nathan and Alicia Novak. So thank you to all of you out there for supporting the show. Yes. And Sam, with that, I think we've already introduced our guest, but let's go ahead and bring her in.
Out.
Hey,
Cindy, welcome.
Hi, everybody.
We are so excited to have you on the show. Cindy has not been on the show before. I can't believe this. I was realizing when I reached out to her to ask if she would come on our live show. We have had the pleasure of knowing Cindy for several years now. we met her in person, I think, for the first time at a Run Disney race weekend in California. And she has sailed with us on our DCL Duo Podcast cruise, as well as on the DVC podcast, the DVC cruise that was following our podcast cruise on the Disney Magic. We are so pleased to get to know Cindy. She is just one of the nicest people in our community. She's also very involved in the My DVC Points community, and she is like super involved in the Run Disney community and makes these awesome friendship bracelets that she hands out basically wherever she goes. So we are just so thankful to have you as a part of our community, Cindy, and we're so thankful that you agreed to come on tonight's show.
I meant to wear mine. I meant to wear my bracelet tonight, and I totally forgot.
Well, thank you. And actually, it's been a long time, but I was on one of your very first shows.
Oh my God,
ago,
is that
we
right?
were talking about DVC member cruises.
Yes.
It was.
I was going to say, Cindy's
early.
definitely been on this show before. Sam.
I think that's the only one, but I have been on it once.
Yes. Well, not all of us can be Tracy and hit platinum on the DCL Duo podcast guest list. So, so there you go.
I'm still chasing Pearl.
There you go.
That's right. Well, before we dive into talking about Cindy's side-to-side cruise, which for those not in the know, a side-to-side cruise is when you get on one ship and sail with Disney Cruise Line and then get off that ship, and maybe it's a day or 2 days later, but you jump onto a different ship in the Disney fleet and sail on that cruise. But we're gonna talk about that today. But before we do, we have a little bit of news to talk about. I say a little bit of news. I'll hit the small stuff first, which is Disney Cruise Line already put out the Halloween on the High Seas and Maritime room packages, meaning like the blanket, stuffy decor packages that you can buy. Packages. Amenities. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. So you can, if you are signed up for a cruise, if you're booked on a cruise that is a Halloween on the High Seas themed cruise or a maritime themed cruise for this year, 2025, you can actually go on to the app. It actually sends you out to the website, but it'll help you by copying your reservation number, and you can put in your purchase, your pre-order for that. And then that package is in your stateroom. So make sure you have room in your luggage, because it's a blanket and a pillow and often a small plushie and decor. So it will take up room in your suitcase. Just a warning. So that's one piece of news. The other piece of news is, I'd say, a little bit bigger, which is that yesterday on the Disney Dream, while the Dream was sailing in the Caribbean, so it was a sea day, from what we're hearing from the reports, although the exact cause has not been confirmed, but we're hearing pretty, I would say, credible reports at this point, that a man and his daughter were out on deck 4, and they were at one of those sort of porthole railing areas on the Dream, and the man set his child on the railing for a picture. And unfortunately, the child, who was somewhere between the ages of 4 to 6, fell overboard into the water from deck 4. The man jumped in right behind her, jumped into the water, obviously to save his daughter. All reports are that folks tried to throw life jackets so that they, to assist the man and the daughter immediately. But Disney crew just went right into gear. There was an immediate man overboard, which is a Mr. Mob, Mr. MOB man overboard, was announced, and a rescue boat went out and was able to rescue both the man and his daughter. So kudos to Disney Cruise Line crew for acting very, very fastly, very, very quickly. But I want to put out there, this is news, and that's why we're reporting on it. But I also want to put out there that, generally speaking, it's not easy to fall overboard a cruise ship. Either you have to be doing something pretty stupid, like was being done in this situation, or it has to be purposeful, meaning somebody attempting to throw themselves overboard.
I want to make 2 points. Let's be careful with tossing around. We don't know definitively what happened, and so I don't want to say so let's just I'm not going to judge anyone right now without knowing the definitive facts. I do agree setting your child up on a railing or in a porthole, not the best idea, but I don't want to say anything about these particular people because we don't know the facts. Second thing is, I think also it's really hard on a Disney Cruise Line ship because they put a lot of extra safety procedures, in my estimation, on the railings because they know there's lots of kids on board. So it's not this. I think we don't want to sensationalize or over sensationalize what happened here. Factually, it happened. Factually, both people were rescued. Fantastic. Great work by the crew. Kudos to Disney Cruise Line. And I think just factually speaking, we just want to say like, this should not be something that then deters you from actually taking a Disney cruise. It's the first time. It may not be the only time, but it's the first time we've ever heard about something like this happening on a Disney cruise ship. To a child and then someone leaping in afterwards. But it's pretty hard to do. It's very, very hard to do. Sam posted some great photos yesterday of like what the actual railings look like on board and how tall they are and the plexiglass they have on them to prevent climbing. And I don't think we have it. There's signage all along the railings, even on deck 4 that says do not climb. So, so all that stuff is there. So just, pay attention to your kids and glad that these two are in fact safe. So, yeah.
Yeah.
With that, let's move on to happier topics, Sam. We got better topics to talk about.
I know. We're actually going to be talking about the dream today, though.
Yeah. Well, perhaps the saddest news of all was that there were no itineraries released this week, which we were really, really hoping for. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
We're gonna keep holding out for itinerary releases coming soon. Hopefully it'll be July. If not, it's got to be at least August. So we'll hopefully when those drop, if we're able to, if we're available to, we will do a live show when itineraries drop like that evening. But
if we're on Virgin Voyages with a cocktail, that's not happening. You guys will just have to pick your itineraries on your own and figure it out. It's time to learn self-reliance. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, Cindy, side by side cruising. We can't wait.
Yeah,
we can't wait.
Let's before we jump into talking about this cruise, Cindy, why don't you give folks an idea of how many cruises you've done on Disney Cruise Line and what kinds of itineraries you've done?
These two cruises were number 16 and 17. And
very nice.
The reason we aren't Pearl is we like longer cruises. If we had chopped all of those into 3 and 4 nights, we would have been Pearl. But we've done 7-night back-to-backs. We've done the Panama Canal, 14 nights. We did a Southern Caribbean that was, I think, 10 nights. We did 1 3-night on the Wish. And I said, I'll never do a 3-night again unless we're back-to-backing it with something, especially brand new ship, completely different. I really don't know a whole lot about the Wish because that's not enough time to explore something completely new. So that's why I was really excited about the Treasure being a Wish class ship and 7 nights that we could have more time to explore it. And so we booked that. We booked this one that we did in May, opening day for as soon as I could book it as a platinum.
Awesome.
So that one was booked for a while.
And that's the 7-night on the Treasure. Was this an Eastern or a Western Caribbean itinerary?
Western. And then we're booked on an Eastern in October that was a rescheduled cruise. We were booked on the Transatlantic on the Fantasy. And then we decided to do the Wine and Dine half marathon. So the dates were conflicting. So about a week before they rescheduled the Transatlantic, we moved our deposit to the 7-night in October. Had we waited, we would have gotten a 25% discount because they moved the cruise.
Right, because they canceled they had basically they shifted it by 2 weeks, the transatlantic crossing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we probably could have done it with the new dates, but we had already moved it. So
you didn't know. That's the whole thing. You don't know what Disney's going to do as far as, if there's a last minute, well, this wasn't last minute, but it was later after you had to make your decision about Wine and Dine. So that makes sense. Right. Now tell us, for these cruises, which one did you do first? Were you on the Treasure first or the Dream first?
The Dream first. So in October of 21, that's when we did our back-to-back cruises. And we made some great friends on that cruise. It was during COVID time, post-COVID, so not very many people on the ship. We had a great group of people that we got to know. And on that cruise, a bunch of us booked a Bermuda cruise for April of 23. So we cruised with some of the same people we had cruised with in October that we met. And one couple in particular, they have a friend who works in medical on the ship. So they often get friends and family discounts. They book at the last minute. And they're always sending us a text. Hey, we're going on this cruise. You might come. And
these are the friends to have.
Yeah, we don't get the deal that they get, but they, we're going on a cruise, come with us. And it seemed every time they asked, we had a conflict. So it never worked out. And in April, we were actually on the Wonder with my DVC Points people, Gina and Chad and other people that we met. And on that cruise, I get a text from Semi and she says, Dean and I just booked this cruise in May. And I thought, of course, it's going to overlap with the one we're already doing. But I looked at the dates and the Treasure cruise started on the 17th. And the cruise they were doing was a 4-night that was the 12th to the 16th. So I said to Mike, what do you think? We could move our flight. The Dream went out of Fort Lauderdale and the Treasure was going out of Port Canaveral. But when our flights got canceled last year when we were flying with you, we flew into Orlando, took the Brightline train to Fort Lauderdale, and it's slick. We really like that.
Yeah.
And flying out of Portland, we get a direct flight to Orlando and not to Fort Lauderdale. And usually the Orlando flight is cheaper. Even adding on the train cost, it's less expensive. So we talked about it and we were in the middle of a remodeling project. And it's like, do we really want to spend that money? And Semi's boyfriend said, I have never seen an armored car following a funeral procession. Just spend it. I said, okay, you only live once. Let's do it.
Oh my God, I love that. We always say, like, what are you going to be, buried with it, right? Like, I'm not saying people should be reckless with their money.
Right,
At the same time, I'm like, if you're, not doing things you want to do because you're worried about, like, what you're going to leave to the people behind you, I mean, that you should be having more fun. Enjoy your life now, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So we went ahead and did it. I reached out to our travel agent and she said, you can save $700 if you book a guaranteed stateroom. And we had never done that before, but it's like, well, we're doing this at the last minute. Let's save $700. So we did a guaranteed veranda and we were happy with our room. We were right outside, not like around the corner from the aft elevators. But it was quiet. That during the night, one of the elevators made a little bit of noise, but it wasn't anything that really bothered us. But
so then
it was a good location.
You ended up though flying then to Orlando and taking Brightline to Fort Lauderdale, did the cruise out of Fort Lauderdale and then Brightline back to Orlando to get on the Treasure. Oh, back to the airport. And then you got to take Disney transportation. It goes to the
airport. We just took, we had a room booked at the boardwalk. So we originally had 2 nights, but then we only needed 1. So we canceled 1 night, took a lift to the boardwalk and just spent the night there. And we didn't have park tickets. We just went to Disney Springs because I had to get my trash can candy holder. So for those of you that don't know, I work in the garbage industry and I've always collected the salt and pepper shakers that look like the trash cans. And this came out the week we were there. So I had to buy one for myself and our daughter and a coworker who works for another company. So
I love it.
Get the merch.
I like that. I like that better than the
flower and garden salt and pepper shakers from years ago.
But I sort of look at it as like, how many salt and pepper shakers can one person own? So like, I like that they changed it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they'll come out with
bigger
more
ones.
But this is well, that's what this is. This is like it's a real candy dish.
Okay. But I've seen ones that are even bigger than that, Cindy. I've seen video of somebody with one that's like more like a cookie jar size, like bigger.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
I saw like Yeah, it was like I want to say it was like a reel or a TikTok or something. I haven't ever seen it in person, but yeah, but that's awesome. I love that. That's just really fun. So, I mean, of course, you got to go to Springs to do that. Okay, so you've got the Dream and the Treasure. We got to talk a little bit about the planning side of things. You're booked last minute on the Dream, but you had plenty of time to plan for the Treasure. Like, tell us about those differences. Were there things that you like were able to book on Treasure that you weren't maybe able to book on Dream, or did you not care because you're like, I'm going on 2 different cruises, so I'll just do different stuff on each one?
Yeah, actually, because our friends had someone who worked on the ship, we booked last minute, so we got late dining, but they wanted to have early dining, so we put our names in for a request. As soon as they got on the ship, because we were linked, we did get moved to early dining, and they were able to get us a Palo brunch. So the 4 of us did Palo brunch. And I don't know if it was, sometimes they just leave them open or if their friend had a connection that helped us out, but we were able to do Palo brunch. So the Dream cruise went to Nassau and Lookout Key. And also there was someone in our Facebook group who was able to last minute get a Grand Cabana, the handicapped accessible one at Serenity Bay. And she was looking for people to share. So it's like, sure, we'd like to share. And the sad thing for her is she booked this on the adult beach, and she had a 9-year-old with her, and her friends had kids, and her son didn't want to go to Scuttle's Cove or whatever it's called on Lookout Key, didn't want to go to the kids club. So she probably spent 20 minutes in the cabana. So there were like 5 of us in this Grand Cabana. It was great.
So wait, it was a Grand Cabana on the adult side then? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't know why she booked it when she went with kids. I guess she was just thinking her son was going to spend the whole day in the kids club, and he didn't want to.
Yeah.
So
I will say, like, I think so that's an area where you can make a mistake. Like, I mean, we love a cabana, don't get me wrong. And the cabanas at Lookout are incredible. I mean, Cindy, you know that because we got to share one with you at our first times at one of our first times at Lookout Key. So they're fantastic. But I think if I wouldn't, with traveling with Nathan, I wouldn't book a cabana if the only one available was the Serenity Bay because he does spend the entire time with us when we're at Lookout or at Castaway. Like he might go off and do like an Edge meetup or something, but he really is going to spend beach and water time with us. And so, yeah, wow, that's crazy. Well, this is awesome because you got to go to Lookout on the Dream and you got to go to Castaway on the Treasure, right? Fantastic.
Yeah, we got both. It was great.
Yeah.
And the Dream cruise for us was more about just spending time with our friends. We didn't really go to any shows. And I knew Beauty and the Beast would be on Treasure. So it's like, okay, I can skip it on the Dream because I'm going to get to see it next week. And we just hung out visiting, catching up. We did some trivias together. One trivia for the first time. We did general knowledge trivia, and we won it fair and square, didn't tie with anybody, and we did horrible at anything else we tried. but that one I think is a little more mainstream.
Now, how did you find the Dream? She's just been in her, dry dock. I mean, condition wise, like, because she just did her dock at the end of the Europe season last year. So which would have been, September. So it's less than a year out of dry dock. Did you find, and obviously you're then going to get on the Treasure and we'll talk about what you thought of the Treasure, but she's an older ship. She's the 3rd in the fleet, and we're going to be talking about the newest, the 6th in the fleet. How did you find her condition and her look?
Overall, I thought everything was pretty good. Our stateroom was fine. There was the latch in one of the bathrooms. You could tell the screws were like stripped out. And we mentioned it to our stateroom host and said, it's not giving us any trouble, but we just want you to know so somebody can fix it afterward. And I'm sure they took care of it, but we didn't have any issues with the room at all.
Nice.
And overall, I thought everything was pretty good on the ship.
Yeah. What about service level? Because, I think it's nice when you're on some of the older ships, they're like kind of a well-oiled machine, right? Like everything's working as it should. You do sometimes have new cast members kind of rotating in, but the vast majority, it seems like, of the cast members are pretty well seasoned. And so it seems like, at least our experience being on the Fantasy in December, was that everything was like just running so smoothly, and it was kind of nice to be back on an older ship because of that. I'm curious how you felt about how things were running on the Dream.
Overall, it was pretty good. Our friends were a little frustrated because their friend who worked on the ship got permission to have dinner with us on the last night. And
nice.
It was really nice. It was nice to get to know her. But the server was a little weird about it when she got there and said she needed some kind of paperwork. Well, it was all taken care of ahead of time. And then the head server came up, and when he saw who she was, he got all apologetic. And it's like, so it was a little awkward. But other than that, our service team was good. They were pretty good. We had, I think, a better service team on the Treasure, and actually saw a lot of crew members that we had seen on the Magic the year before.
Interesting.
Probably 5 or 6 that we had seen on the Magic. In fact, when we did the back-to-back cruise with you last summer, we had on the first cruise, we had a server that we just loved. But when we cruised with you, we were sitting with the table with the server that you had set up. And we ended up running into Romero, who was our server. He's now moved to the Magic. So he said he would be there in October when we get back. So we're planning on requesting him because he was just a great
fantastic. Yeah. We requested Abriel, who we just adore, and she's wonderful, and she was great with our group, I feel like, in general. But yeah, it's hard because you either have to. You can request to be with a group in a particular rotation, or you can request a particular server, but it's really hard to get like a million different requests to be able to be accommodated at once. So,
and that's what I told his head server, because he asked, would you like the same team on the next cruise? And I said, I would, but we're cruising with some friends and we're going to be sitting with them. And I said, it's nothing shady about the team we had. We love them, but it's just, we can't do it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the sort of the time in between the cruises. Were there any logistical challenges? I mean, you're getting off at Port Everglades, and you've got to make your way to Port Canaveral, and you've got one night in between. So, like, walk us through the logistics. You're getting off the ship and to getting to the next ship.
So we had the train booked for the morning we got off the ship, and we weren't sure what time. I didn't want to book too early in case the ship didn't clear. So I booked an 11 o'clock train, figured no problem. We're not going to be able to get into our room right away. We got off the ship pretty early, took a lift to the train station, and there was a train leaving, I think, at 9:30. And I asked, and there was space on that train. So we went ahead and moved, and that train actually was less money. So we got a refund on our train ticket, and just took the earlier train, and then got to the airport, took a lift to the boardwalk, dropped our stuff off, and then went to Disney Springs. We did do Disney transportation for on the way to the Treasure.
So that happened to me too when I did the Lighthouse Point preview cruise. I used the Brightline to get from Fort Lauderdale back up to Disney, and I found the same thing. One is the train station is only like 15 minutes from the port. It is not that far by Uber or Lyft, and there were plentiful Uber and Lyfts to get us there. And so we had like an 11 o'clock booked. I think we couldn't get on the 9:30 because it was full, but we changed our ticket. Did you get a cash refund from Brightline? Or I found what they tend to do is give you credit toward a future Brightline ticket.
I got a credit. I got a credit, which was fine because we'll probably use it again. And it wasn't that much. It was like $25. One thing I forgot to mention is the Dream sailing was one of the ones where everybody's data was wiped out, and we had to
recheck in,
produce all of our documents and recheck in. We had an 11:45 port arrival time, and they were not letting anybody get in line if you were 12 o'clock or later. And we probably stood outside the building for 45 minutes before we even got into the building. And then they had cast members in line scanning, taking your picture, scanning things. So they were doing the best that they could. But I think it was about 1 o'clock by the time we got on. And there were people who still had not gotten on the ship at the time of the muster drill. So they had to do like a special muster drill after.
Yeah. Going back to Brightline for a second, because we haven't had that many people on the show to talk about it. I just kind of wanted to quickly let people know a couple things. One is, it is very nice. It's very fast and efficient. It is expensive. It is on the pricier side of things in terms of how you can, if you're a larger party, if it's just you or, you and a spouse or a partner, can make a lot of sense. So you start to get into you plus a kid, you plus 2 kids, you plus 3 kids. Now it can get a little bit more affordable to just rent a car and drive up. And I will say the train is not really any faster than driving, especially it picks up right in Fort Lauderdale, but you have to take it generally at this point all the way to the airport and then get transportation back to Disney from the airport. So by the time all is said and done, that can be, actually not much, it can be slower. They do allow you to check luggage. I will say waiting around at the Brightline station at the airport for luggage is an interesting experience, because basically they just like haul it up an elevator and toss it out to the side of a ticket counter. So there's no like carousel or anything like that. And then the Brightline station is actually not attached to the main airport where you can catch like the Mears buses and stuff like that. You have to take a train from the station to the Orlando airport, or like a tram, an inner kind of like the tram you take from the terminals at MCO.
Like the little monorail.
Yeah. Like, hi, this is Buddy Dwyer tram. You take one of those over to the main airport if you're going to access like Mears or something like that to get you over to Disney. So I think it's fantastic. We're going to use it. We're going to use it after the Destiny Maiden. So it is nice, and it is a nice feature. I'm hoping they open up a terminal closer to Disney. That's the only thing I think they can do that's better.
I think the other part, though, to Cindy's point, is that for some people, it may be there are more flight options to Orlando for a lot of folks than there are to the Fort Lauderdale airport. Another option, of course, is the Miami airport. That's about an hour away, I think, from Port Everglades, but it is an option. It's not like it's not 3 hours away. But Orlando obviously has a ton of flights to pretty much everywhere. And so that's why it might be a good option for a lot of people to do it.
Also, the only other frustrating thing that I was asking Cindy about, because I've had this too, if you cancel a ticket on Brightline for whatever reason, they don't refund you; they give you a credit. And so, if you don't plan to be back in the area, and like that, I think that credit expires after some period of time too. So, like I think
it's a year.
Yeah. So, like if you're not planning to be back in a year, it can get a little dicey using the Brightline. Now, I think the credit is transferable. You can use it to buy a ticket for somebody else. But yeah, it's, just know you're not going to get your money back. You get a credit, even if you cancel like weeks, months in advance, right? You're just going to get a credit back. So,
but I got to give a plug for...
You can play the game and book a ticket and cancel it again, and then it restarts it.
Fair enough.
Good point, Andy. Good point. The other thing is just train travel can be really fun, and you might have a child who really loves trains, and it's kind of a fun way of traveling. It also means you don't have to
Ashley's saying in the comments. Train travel, the romanticism of train travel. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And Linda's saying also they're looking at Brightline for New Year's cruise because they're going to Walt Disney World for Christmas and then the Dream for New Year's, which is perfect. It is a nice way to do it if you don't want to rent a car and you're really going to stay mostly in the Disney bubble, and also if you want to fly in and out of MCO. I think it's a good option.
And eventually the train may already it will go out to Port Canaveral at some point in the not too distant future if it's not already going out there. Now it's not going to get all the way to the port. It's going to get close, and then you take a shuttle the rest of the way. But eventually, you may be able to just take the train out to the port from the airport.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, we got to jump on the Treasure and talk about the Treasure, because this was Cindy's first time on the Treasure.
You stayed at Disney World the night before? The boardwalk. Okay.
The boardwalk, and they went to Disney Springs.
Okay. All right.
And then they
took Disney transportation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you get to Port Canaveral. You didn't have the same snafu at Port Canaveral with the check-in process, right? You didn't have to redo check-in at Port Canaveral.
No.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So
No, so that-
you have a
pretty
decent port arrival time probably with the Disney transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what time it was, but it was pretty early.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or Adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
What'd you think when you walk into the beautiful Disney Treasure? Your family name is announced. You're in that grand hall that's just ginormous as compared to on the four original ships.
Hold on, Cindy, was this your first sailing on the Treasure?
Yeah, it was our first time. Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right.
We've been on the Wish once, but first time on the Treasure.
Okay.
And it is beautiful. It is very beautiful. That's about all I can say. I mean, I love all the colors. We just kind of walked around a little bit. I think we ate lunch at Cabanas or Marceline Market. We really like it. We originally had booked this cruise with some friends and they had to cancel. And so our room was a family veranda, which is the first time we've had the bigger one. We had Encanto room. So so our room was decorated Encanto.
Nice.
Love that.
And I know you guys have talked about not enough storage, and it was nice. Yes. We didn't have the extra bed. We just had the extra room. Maybe there was a bed behind there, but we had the whole storage cabinet that was really nice.
Yeah. So if you had the storage cabinet, then you didn't also have the Murphy bed, right? So you either get that storage cabinet or the Murphy bed in that family, I think it's the family deluxe or whatever it's called, veranda stateroom. And I think if you have that storage cabinet, it's perfect. I mean, I honestly think there's enough storage if you have that cabinet. It's really over on the Wish where I don't think that cabinet exists on the Wish, and then you have zero storage. So, other than the closet, really. I mean, because there's really hardly any drawer space, I think, on the Wish class ships. Well, tell us what you thought of Marceline Market. I know you'd been on the Wish before, but only one time, right? Because you're not big on 3-4 night cruises. How did you like it and compared to Cabanas?
It was never super crowded when we were there. I don't know if we just hit it at the right time, but that was nice that it wasn't overcrowded every time. We'd eat breakfast there, but usually lunchtime we would eat, the deck food is so good. So we would either have tacos or barbecue or something on the deck instead of going to Marceline Market for lunch. But had to hit over there, get churro waffles one day.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a little bit better setup than at Cabanas. I don't know if you think the same. I think they just figured out a better pattern than Cabanas maybe. And I also prefer that it's mostly crew serve. There's a couple stations where it's self-serve, like the oatmeal is still self-serve and a couple of other things. But I like that is crew served.
Ashley is saying she misses the chair from her room on the Wish. I will say, Ashley, I find those chairs to be the most annoying thing in the room because it's like there's like you don't need it all the time, and it's just there. I would much rather take that storage cabinet on the wall if they have one, which they did not put on the Wish. So those don't exist on the Wish. They were added to the Treasure. So yeah.
Well, and one of the couples that we sat with said they thought they could have taken out the beverage cooler and put another storage drawer there because it didn't keep anything cold.
Yeah. I mean, the only problem with that is it works okay. And, you've got the situations with people with formula or medication or something they want to keep cool. So, yeah. But yeah, the storage drawer is a controversial addition on the cruise line for sure. I hate to return us back to Brightline, but Sam, I don't think we answered Tracy's questions, which are good ones, which are what kind of seats on the train did you have? How long is the trip? And are there any snacks provided? So Cindy, did you do the business class version or just the regular version of the train?
This time we did the business class. So because I knew we were going to be getting to the airport, I thought if we had that 11 o'clock train, we were going to have so much extra time that we could use the premium lounge, which I found out you can only go into an hour before your train departure.
It's a small lounge. It's a small lounge and it's full. Yeah. Yeah. We experienced that too. We had to wait like an hour and a half before we could get into the lounge for the hour prior to our departure. Yeah.
And there is a nice area where if you don't have the premium class that you can still have a place to sit and get a snack or something. So that side of it, I don't know if I would have done that again, but it did include the checked bags. So we did just go ahead and check them. And then, so that worked on the way down. And then they changed the rules on the way back. And I think my larger suitcase had a fee because it was too big. So that was the only
business class.
downside.
I think also comes with an Uber credit of like $15
$10
or something.
Uber credit for each way.
Yep. So you can.
It included a snack, like a little sandwich or salad. On the other, if you don't book business class, they do come through with a little cart between every stop with drinks. You could buy chips or something like that. Yeah. But there's a little rolling cart that goes by.
Yeah. On the business class side, I felt like they did the same thing. They kind of came through the cabin a bunch of times just to see if you want snacks, drinks. Yeah. But then there was like a more of like a lunch almost that they offered you.
And it was included with the business class where you had to pay for it on the regular seats. But we did regular seats last time and they were fine too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then
sounds like it's.
And then the ride is what it is. It's like a 3-hour drive. I think it's a 3-hour train ride just about because it makes stops.
Yeah, it's about 3 hours, but it's on time. And when they stop at a stop, you have to get off and get back on. It's fast because the first time we were on it, we were taking our time getting our luggage and they're like, you got to get off the train. We have a schedule to keep.
Yeah. And then one other comment here, Magical Vanessa is saying on the beverage cooler, you can turn the temperature setting down. And so she's going to take a photo of how to do that and share it with folks later. So if you're not in our Facebook group, that might be the place to head if you want to know how to just change the setting and the temperature of your beverage cooler.
She said you have to get down on the floor to see the control in the back corner. So she's she also is saying that she loved the accessible train car on the Brightline. So they do have accessible train cars that large, wheelchair can fit in. So that's great to know as well for folks who, because that's probably also, well, I don't know. I'm not sure what would be easier to rent an accessible, van, because you're still going to have to get an accessible Uber or something back and forth from, Disney property or something like that. If you're just going to the airport, it's probably great, but you'll still need accessible transportation elsewhere. So, but good tip out there. Well, I'd love to jump back onto the Treasure because there's so many amazing things to talk about. You mentioned the pool deck food. I think the pool deck food on the Wish class ships is superior to the pool deck food on all of the other 4 ships. I wonder if what you think about it, Cindy.
I would agree. I would say the only thing is I'm used to making my own ice cream cones and they'll make the ice cream cones for you. Theirs look prettier than mine, but they're probably not as big.
Yeah, I was going to say they're probably not as big. That's the one thing. But you can always bring up a cup to them, from the drink station. You can grab one of those paper cups, and you can ask them to fill up the cup with soft serve ice cream. So if you want more ice cream to cone ratio, that's probably the way to do it. Otherwise, you might have to get back in line and get just get another cone. And you might want to have a contest of how many ice creams you can eat. Anyway.
I love the irrational fear that people have of like somehow they're judging you for the amount of ice cream when they make your ice cream. You can just tell them like, I want more. Make me more. I've seen people go with the cups from the beverage station. Be like,
that's what I'm saying. Exactly. I just said that.
That's what Mike said.
Let's not forget we're also then complaining that they're such food pushers at main dining. So like, I don't think they care how much you eat. No one's judging you.
I love it. I love it. No, I'm with you though. It is, it's different. You can't, just like you mostly can't serve yourself in Marceline Market. The pool deck food, none of it is self-serve on the other ships except for the ice cream. The ice cream is, and they've of course during COVID times they've changed that on the other ships, and I think they occasionally will change it when they're worried about a norovirus outbreak or something like that. So, well, let's talk about the main dining, because I think this is where dining is more different, right, than the other, because the original 4 ships all pretty similar in dining, with the exception of maybe Rapunzel's and Tiana's. But of course, you've got brand new dining on in Coco on the Disney Treasure, and then you also have the new show in Worlds of Marvel, and it's only second in the fleet, 1923. I wonder what you thought about dining overall, Cindy.
I really loved the entertainment in the Coco restaurant. I thought it was really fun, very well done. I picked the wrong entree. I picked an entree that I wasn't particularly happy with the first night at Coco. So I would pick something different next time. But the second night was amazing.
What'd you get the first night?
The first night I got a gnocchi dish, but I didn't care for it at all. But that was
stay away from main dining gnocchi in general. I'm going to give that piece of advice. Just stay away from main dining gnocchi. Order the gnocchi in Palo, or have it. There's like some really nice gnocchi in Remy and Enchanté sometimes. But yeah, stay away from main dining gnocchi is just a rule, I think.
And what'd you get the second night?
The second night I actually got the enchiladas as my main dinner. I can't remember what I got as an appetizer because I don't eat a whole lot. So it's like I heard the enchiladas were amazing. I'm just going to have those for my main course, and they were great.
They're excellent. A smart call. I will put a plug in for the chicken mole. I forget which night menu it's on, but it's actually really good. The only downside to it is if the chicken's a little sat under the heat lamp for a little too long, it's not as good, but the mole sauce is excellent. So I'll put in a plug for that one.
I think Mike had that and he really liked it. I wasn't sure if he would like the sauce, but he really liked it.
Yeah. And is
that in the first night?
I can't remember if it's the first night or the second night, but it was really good. Yeah. And then
I think the second night menu is just stronger though too. Yeah. I think as a general matter, the second night, I like the pork carnitas on the second night menu. I also like that. Yeah, the chicken enchilada appetizer is fantastic. The empanada is that night as well as an appetizer. And so I feel like there's a bunch of really good things on that second night menu. The first night menu is good too. I just don't think it's quite as strong as the second night menu. But yeah, I feel that, but I also think the same goes for Marvel. That second night menu is quite strong. I think the first night menu is it's fine. It's okay. And then it's the opposite for 1923. It's the first night menu is strong. The second night menu is just not good at all.
Well,
I don't know.
We should ask Cindy what she thought of the second night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what did you think of the second night menu in 1923?
I didn't think it was that bad. I think is that the night that has the lamb?
Yes, it has the lamb and it has the lobster. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I had the lobster, but I got the potatoes that come on the lamb because they're really good. So I had that ordered as a side dish, and we kind of shared it at the table. And we actually missed the second night of Marvel because we had Palo dinner that night. So we didn't get to experience that.
Yeah.
And the gnocchi as in the amuse-bouche, what I thought, this is the first time this has ever happened. Our server was just asking, are there things that you don't like? And Mike mentioned he didn't like mushrooms. And the sauce that comes on that is kind of mushroom flavored. So he brought Mike's out with I can't remember now if it was a cheese sauce or a marinara sauce, but he changed it up for him. And Mike really appreciated that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that I will say that amuse-bouche with the mushroom sauce is so good. No, it's
I
so
love
delicious.
it. I love it. And Mike's always eaten it, but it's, mushrooms are not his favorite. And he just thought that was really special.
I just missed the tomato soup bite in Remy on the Fantasy. It was like a little breaded thing that had tomato soup in it, and you bit into it. The soup kind of burst into your mouth, and it
was their amuse-bouche. They've changed it.
Yeah,
it's so good. So good. You got to try it at some point, Cindy. It's so fantastic. All right, well, we've got to jump to entertainment on the Treasure and ask you what you thought of the
Well, what Sam really wants to ask you is, what did you think of Sage and Coriander, and are they the best thing that ever happened to Disney Cruise Line?
Yeah, them and of course the shows. Yeah. What did you think of all the new entertainment stuff? Yeah.
I really liked it. I thought we watched the Sage and Coriander Aladdin show in the Grand Hall. We missed the Jungle Cruise the first time, but I think the last night of the cruise they did it again, so we watched it, and that was fun too. Unfortunately, the Indiana Jones, that was the night we had Paulo, and by the time we got out of dinner, the room was already full. So we were trying to stand on the edge and watch. And then someone who was sitting at the upstairs bar got up and left. So we were able to kind of watch it from the balcony. But when we go in October, I'm going to make plans to make sure that I don't miss it. Because I really enjoyed what I could see, but I couldn't really get as much out of it.
How about Moana?
But they were a lot of fun.
How about
Moana was amazing.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast was perfect. As we had only seen it once on the Dream before, but I absolutely loved both of them. The puppetry in the Moana show was just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. And even the girl who played the crab singing Shiny, that was a cool costume. Yeah, Tamatoa.
Yeah. No, I think cool. They do such a nice job they did such a nice job replicating Beauty and the Beast from the Dream as well. It's just such a wonderful show. And then getting a cast also that can really do both of those shows is a little interesting because obviously they lean very heavily into the Asian Pacific Islander performance community for Moana, which is, I think, fantastic and incredible. But of course, that then translates over to Beauty and the Beast as well, because you have this diverse cast, and they just did it flawlessly. I think they cast so well, and both all of the performers are just wonderful. And you're right, the puppetry is incredible. There's puppetry in Beauty and the Beast. There's puppetry in Seize the Adventure, and there's puppetry in Moana. So if you like seeing puppetry on stage, very different types of forms of puppetry. But if you like seeing that, I think that's it's a fantastic. Well, so interesting that you had skipped Beauty and the Beast on the Dream, knowing you were going to see Beauty and the Beast on the Treasure. When you go back, you mentioned you're going back on the Treasure in October. Are you going to go to all the shows again?
Probably, and because we didn't do Seize the Adventure this time, but our friend there's someone that we met on our Mediterranean cruise last year who's going to be on the cruise in October, and it'll be their first time on the Treasure. So I'm sure that if we hook up with them, that they will want to see the shows, and that will be fun.
So, Cindy, we only have a few minutes left, so I'm gonna co-opt Sam's rapid fire round and make a rapid fire round here because I want to I want to ask you some questions about the Treasure since it was your first time.
Okay.
We have not talked at all about the bar spaces on board, which are all brand new. Did you have a favorite?
Is it the Scat Cat? Is that what it's called?
Scat Cat Lounge.
So we went in there, and there was a piano player who was playing Billy Joel songs one night, and so we went in and listened to her, and we enjoyed that, and we went to the Haunted Mansion a little bit so we could see it. They did a photo op during the day, and then we went in there before dinner one night, but we didn't get anything to drink because they said they only have what's on the menu. Nothing was very appealing to me. Although Tracy had something that she had pictures of that looked really cool. It's like, maybe I'll have to do that just to see that. But they said if we could order other drinks, but they have to get them from another bar and it would take a while. So we just sat for a while, watched the entertainment and then left.
I think the drink menu in Haunted Mansion is the weakest of all of the bar menus. So I think it's a good call to go in there and watch the show, but maybe not. I just have not been impressed by any of the drinks in that lounge.
Bring a drink from someplace else.
Bring a drink from Scat Cat. Scat Cat has excellent drinks. Yeah, Scat Cat has excellent drinks. Bring one from there.
Well, and you could get from the outer bar at Scat Cat. You get your drink to go, right? And then just walk it over to Haunted Mansion. Or from Skipper Society, which is right there. But I feel like that's the other,
we went there a couple times too, to Skipper Society. Well, I think that's about all we went into really for the bars.
Let me ask this question. Biggest opportunity still for these Wish class ships that they have just not cracked? Like, did you look at something on the Treasure and think, gosh, I wish they'd done that differently?
A better adult pool area. That's where the older ships are better for me. We did buy the Rainforest Pass because we wanted a place where we could get quiet and shade if we wanted it. And we figured we're going to have to pay for it if we want it. Either that or pay for concierge and have a different area. Yeah. But I don't know if we'll even do Rainforest next time. Maybe do it by the day if it's available and it's just too crowded.
What did you think of the Rainforest room on the? I mean, it's the same as on the Wish. But what did you when you say you might not do it again? Was it because you didn't like the experience? You didn't use it enough, or didn't
just
find
for the cost? I think.
Yeah. Okay.
You can spend that money on something else. We did enjoy it when we went.
Nicole, I agree with you. Periscope Pub is a great place, great spot to go to drink too.
We tried to go in there one night and it was so crowded there was no place to sit. So we didn't really get to check that out. I think it was during the NBA playoffs, and so there were a lot of people in there watching games.
Yeah, for sure.
But you guys talked about they're having good food too.
They do, yeah, and you're gonna have it oversubscribed when there are games, but if there's not like some big sports tournament, right? Like if it's not like some either NBA or college or whatever sports like tournament going on or something like that, then it isn't, generally speaking, it's not the most oversubscribed bar.
It's pretty lively for golf when we were around there. So, yeah,
it's true. I mean, listen, it seems like most of the time there's something sports related, but there are times I would say that bar, like there's a lot of seating in there, and so if it's not some big sports tournament going on, it's a decent place to go, and great food, good drinks. As
long as they've got their ESPN 8 The Ocho, subscription signed up.
I will say I like going there for trivia. They do some of the adult-only trivias in Periscope Pub, and I think it's a great location for trure as well.
Also a fantastic spot for Lorcana, so there you go.
Yes, but
need to learn to really play.
There you go. Well, you mentioned with Indiana Jones, I just want to put this plug out there for Indiana Jones takes place in the Sarabi Lounge, and there's this thing they do beforehand called Sarabi Supper Club, which is really just a pre Indiana Jones show, so you can order drinks, and Sarabi gets completely full for that Indiana Jones Choose Wisely show. So if you want to go to that, it is something you kind of have to, as Cindy learned, right? It's something you kind of have to prioritize going to early, or making sure you're there for Sarabi Supper Club so that you get a seat and order a drink and you can really see the show for Indiana Jones.
They have the special monkey head beverage that you can only get during that time. P.S.
There are three special beverages.
Yeah, but P.S. the monkey head cup is not, you can't take it home with you.
Not included.
No,
it's just
so it isn't even one you can buy.
No,
correct.
I think it's one you can surreptitiously pocket, but it's not one that they. Right. Nicole, yes, the Periscope pub food is not to be missed. Those pretzels are good, but so are the loaded potato puffs, aka tachos.
Tachos,
yes, and wings. Yeah, so it's a good alternative to night 2 in 1923, as we discovered. So,
I gotta ask Brian. You co-opted like a little rapid fire, but I gotta ask Cindy a really important question now, because now you've been on all the ships now, Cindy, all the ones that are in current existence, obviously.
Yes.
I got to ask you what your favorite ship is now that you've been on the Treasure.
I always used to say the Fantasy because that was our first ship, and we really do love the Fantasy, but it's been a long time since we've been on the Fantasy. We spent a lot of time on the Magic last year, and I really like that. I'm a little worried about comments I've been hearing people say about it lately, though. So
yeah, she's showing her age.
I tell people my favorite ship is the one that I'm on.
There you go. All right. That's a good answer.
Fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Cindy, I got to ask her, you're booked on the Destiny, correct?
No, not
You're
yet.
not. Okay.
Not yet. No.
All right.
No.
All right. Well, we'll have to have you back.
You're waiting for those itineraries to drop, though, I bet.
Because we just have a lot of stuff going on in the fall, so I can't do it this fall. And then next year we have the river cruise with you guys. And then October on the Treasure again, the river cruise. And then we booked the DVC member cruise that goes to Norway next year.
Oh, amazing.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be fantastic.
What is that in like August?
It's like Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. Around Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. That's why we can't go, Brian, because it conflicts with school. You know, it's one of those darn things they always do. Like, they always have a DVC member cruise. Generally speaking, I think they've had one that was during the summer that was in Europe that we could have done because it would have been during a spring break or summer break. But most of the time, the DVC member cruises are during the school year and not during a time where our kiddo would have vacation.
Yeah.
But we're super excited that you're going to join us again. Cindy, you were on the inaugural DCL Duo Podcast cruise. You're one of a handful of folks who's going to be on both, the first and our second, our version 2.0.
It's going to be an exclusive club for those who can say they've done like the Grand Slam of the DCL Duo podcast cruises. So there you go. Yeah.
Exactly.
We're going to have to do like
I'm excited.
Go ahead, Cindy.
It's going to be our first river cruise. So I'm really excited about that.
I think the next cruise we do, Sam, is going to have to be like a National Geographic expedition, and it's going to whittle the group down even smaller. They're just like, it'll just be
that's
Tracy.
Probably not for me, a small boat.
Tracy will be the diehard, except she won't go because it'll be like to Antarctica or something. It'll be too cold.
She doesn't like cold weather.
Yeah, exactly.
That looks beautiful, but I don't think I can make it over the Drake Passage.
Don't worry, Cindy. Brian and I were just talking, and I think we're so excited to this river cruise, but I do think that we'll have to go back to the roots of being on a DCL ship.
Especially since next year, I think we don't have any plans to be on a Disney cruise ship in 2020. We will?
6. Yeah,
well,
we will.
May.
We're just waiting for itineraries to come out.
We may.
We will. I'm not worried about that.
We will. We may. All right.
Anyway.
With that, we should wrap up here and get people back to their evening. And Cindy, first, just thank you so much. 1, for being a guest. 2, for being a listener. And 3, for being a Patreon. We really appreciate you and just have loved getting to know you. Also, for everyone out there, we will be back next week at our regular time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Keep your TV tuned, locked right here. ABD, keep it locked, right, Sam? ABD, keep it locked.
That's right.
But that's for America's Best Dance Crew, not Adventures by Disney.
No, we're going to be talking Alaska, though, next week, aren't we, Brian?
Who are we talking about Alaska with?
We're super excited to welcome back to the show. We'll have Emily Carlson from We Do Disney Right, We Do Travel Right. She's been on the show several times. She's a fantastic guest. She and her family were hosted by Disney Cruise Line in Alaska. And so she's going to be coming on to talk all about their Alaska cruise and the phenomenal time they had.
Everyone's going to Alaska this year. We talked to Doug Parker went to Alaska. Emily went to Alaska. Carly was in Alaska.
We're trendsetters, Brian. you book Alaska. Everybody else, yes, we're going to Alaska.
Where's Walter's up there in Alaska right now? We're hoping to see him on his night when he gets back. And we're going to, like, everybody went to Alaska this year. So, like, next year we need to take a poll and make sure we go to the place that no one else is going. So there you go.
All right.
All right. Well, Cindy, thank you once again for coming on. We really appreciate
Thanks for having me.
And for all of you out there listening, watching, thank you for being out there, for asking questions, engaging with the show. If you're listening to this afterwards, please head over to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can watch all the shows over there. And Sam, I'm going to beat you to it. Yes, like and subscribe. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening, and we will see you next time. Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, over on youtube.com/DCL Duo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes. So please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo, or email them at dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to dclduo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCL Duo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So dclduo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@dclduo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo Podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly, or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.